Hey guys, welcome to Real Life of a Teacher. I'm Claire, and today I wanted to show you guys some of my fall trimester favorites. We're wrapping up our first trimester of the year, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting, trying to figure out what things worked really well for me and what things need some revamping and some refreshing for our second trimester. So I thought today I'd share with you some of my favorite things from this first trimester of the school year. So the first two things that I want to show you guys are not really specifically school related, but they do help me get through the school day, which counts for quite a bit, I think. So the first thing is this Burt's Bees tinted lip balm. I have mine in hibiscus. It smells nice and it doesn't have like a weird chemically taste, and it gives just a little bit of pink, and it's been really dry in my school lately with all the air conditioning being on and now the heat being on. So having chapstick is very important to my sanity, so this one has been a favorite of mine. The next thing that is not specifically school related is these cookies. These are the Purelines. I don't really know how you say it, but I get the dark chocolate ones, and my Marshalls has them sometimes. And I keep them in my classroom for occasional snacks, but I also share them with the kids if they have done really well on a test or they've just finished a big project. They'll each get a cookie and they know it's just like a little treat that we have in the classroom sometimes. So these are delicious and I love them. As you may or may not know, I teach language arts and social studies, and we have started the year doing quite a few novels. My 8th grade class has read 3 novels and they're starting in on their 4th one right now. So we started the year with a whole school novel. I have a video about that. I can leave that linked below. And then last year we read The Giver with my 7th graders, and now they're my 8th graders. And they really liked this book, so they asked if we could read more in the series. So we read Gathering Blue and Messenger by Lois Lowry, and the kids loved these. They were so happy that they got to be a part of picking the books that they were reading, and they're just great books. Really, really great books. We found that we could find a lot of parallels between Messenger and our modern life. They were really thinking about the political situation that's happening in the world and comparing it to this book. It was really, really impressive to see. And my other reading favorite is one of the ways that we got there, that we got to start thinking about that book really deeply and making really good connections. And that is this book. This book is a total game changer. It's Notice and Note: Strategies for Close Reading by Kylene Beers and Bob Probst. It's just like an incredible book. So it's there's 6 signposts, like 6 things you're meant to be looking for when you are reading. And then you ask certain questions about those, and answering those questions allows you to think more deeply about the book, and it makes it really sort of user-friendly for the kids. So when we were reading Gathering Blue, which is the second one in the series, they were not really reading very closely. A lot of the kids were sort of surface reading, not able to answer really basic questions. And so I said, if we're going to continue with the series, we need to really buckle down and focus on our signposts. And they brought those back out. They started looking at those again really closely, and they did a fantastic job. So this book, tied together with this book, made all the difference in my reading classes this fall. Of course, as a part of my language arts program, we do study grammar, and I have been trying to sort of flip the learning with grammar, because in the past we spent so much time taking notes in class, and then they have to do that independent work at home where they're trying to figure out and apply those grammar skills, and that's when they really actually need my help. So I made a bunch of grammar lesson videos, and then the kids go home and they take their notes. Then they come to class and we go over those notes to make sure there aren't any glaring misconceptions, and then we do the practice together in class. And that has been awesome. And so I did some of those videos based on something I found on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I'm not going to remember what interactive notebook, I can't remember the store that made it, so I'll put it on the screen right here and I'll link it below, because it's a fantastic resource for middle school grammar. And then the other thing I've been using to sort of guide those lessons that has some practice pages in it is this book right here. It's Teach Terrific Grammar. It's one that was passed down to me by the teacher who had my job before me. So I'm not sure sort of what this comes from. I don't really know anything about it, except that I find the lessons to be really useful, and there's really fun sort of practice pages in here that are kind of different. They're not just circle the correct answer or rewrite the sentence correctly. There's some of that, of course, because that's really useful, but there's also some other sort of more fun ones that keep it interesting and keep it different all the time. This year in social studies, my kids are studying ancient civilizations, and we started with ancient Mesopotamia. And I found a couple of really fun resources that have really gotten my kids involved in this learning. So the first one is something that is called decision making, and we have a program called Active Classroom that's just like an online database basically of social studies, like lessons and activities and readings and videos and all that kind of stuff. And it takes from like other social studies textbooks. So it takes from other programs that schools may or may not have. So I haven't looked for this just like online, but it's just called decision making. And the paper says that it's at www.socialstudies.com. So I don't know if you have access to it, but if you do, it's really, really interesting. This first one that we used to start off our year asked, where would you settle in ancient times? And then it gave them 3 different areas of the world that ended up being ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, and then just sort of generally nomadic clans. And they had to go through the decision-making process of figuring out where they would want to live. So we did the reading together, and I had the kids highlight the pros and the cons, things that they liked and didn't like, and you'll see some of them were like, kind of both things. So that was cool for them to be like, I don't really know what list to put this in, and then have to figure out like maybe it's good and bad. And then it also comes with the lesson, so it's really sort of scripted out for you if you want it that way, or you can obviously sort of modify it and use it in your own way. So that's been a really awesome resource. The other thing that I really like that is online is Reading Like a Historian. I had totally forgotten about this source. I learned about it when I went to a conference a couple of years ago. It's from Stanford University, and I totally forgot about it until I saw Too Cool for Middle School, she's like a different YouTuber that is also a middle school teacher, and she put something about it up on like Snapchat or something random like that, and it is so cool. So it's Reading Like a Historian, and this one is looking at Hammurabi's Code. There's also one about Egyptian pyramids that we're going to do when we're in our Egypt unit, which is starting right now. So that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks for us. And it gives you primary source documents and then sort of walks you through reading those and reading them like a historian, reading them for their content, recognizing what we can learn, what are the limitations of this type of document. So it's a really in-depth look at Hammurabi's Code, which is a really important part of studying ancient Mesopotamia. One of the activities that my kids love in my class is when we Instagram as a different person. So here's the template that you can get. I got it on Teachers Pay Teachers. Again, I don't remember where it is, but I will link it here. And this one I think was a free template that I could print off, but it'll be right here. You can go check it out. And so this one is one that a student did from when we read Fish in a Tree. This is another one from Fish in a Tree, but I have also done it with historical figures. We have done it with characters when we're doing our writing projects and they want to like get to know their characters more, figure out what types of things their characters would Instagram. So you can really use this in any subject. I feel like our science teacher has maybe used it to Instagram as like different bacteria, like personify that kind of stuff. So you can really use it in a lot of different ways, and it's just a fun sort of tie in to any unit that you want to have it with. Another kind of fun thing that I've been trying to do in my classroom is playing games to study and review and practice things. So I went to the dollar store and I picked up a couple of different things. I was looking for tiny Jenga sets because I saw, I can't remember what blog, or I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody got tiny Jenga sets at the dollar store and then painted the ends of them different colors and then had different piles of different colored cards that applied to different things that they were studying. So that's what I was on the hunt for. Couldn't find it. What I did find was checkers and chutes and ladders, or snakes and ladders. So that's the one that I brought because that's the ones that my kids are liking best. So it comes with just a cardboard game board that folds up, and I laminated it because it keeps it flatter, and obviously it'll keep it sort of together for longer. And it comes with little plastic pieces, and weirdly, my kid's favorite thing is this teeny tiny little dice. We couldn't read it, so we wrote on it with permanent marker for the different numbers, obviously, but they love this dice. So what I do is I wrote up, and have the kids do this for homework as well, is we make cards that practice the different things. So we've been using these to practice grammar for the most part, but you could use it for anything that you wanted to study. So on one side of the card, we write something that they need to study. So this one looks at parts of speech. So the underlined words, they need to say the parts of speech. Some of them look at comma rules, all the different things that we've been studying. And then we can just add to the pile as we go through the year and add more to our grammar knowledge. And so how we play it is that we just play like regular chutes and ladders, except when you get to the bottom of a ladder, you have to get a question to go up. If you land at the top of a ladder, you have to get a question right to stop yourself from going down. And with snakes, we just do 2 to go up them and 2 to prevent yourself from going down them. So it's really sort of simple. And with checkers, we just do it every time that you want to make a move, you have to get a question right. So it's sort of just a fun way for them to play a game and practice whatever skills they have. All right, and the last thing that I want to talk about is current events. Obviously, current events are a super important part of any social studies study, right? Any social studies class. I think it's really important that you're talking about current events because you want to be able to apply that historical thinking to current events. We want that to help us make better choices in the future. So current events, obviously, are a really important part of how I teach social studies. And especially this fall with all the things going on in politics and in our country, it's extra important for us to be involved during an election season. So 2 of the resources that I have found to be really, really helpful in teaching that stuff in a sort of unbiased, like here are the facts, figure it out for yourself, right? I'm not going to tell you what to believe because that's not how this works, right? You guys have to sort of look at the different pieces of evidence and figure out what suits you and your needs and your wants and your hopes and dreams for this country. So one of the sources that I've really been enjoying is Newsella. It is an online source. There's a free version, and then my district, luckily, I'm so grateful, has the paid version. All the social studies teachers asked for it last year, so the whole district got it. It was awesome. So Newsella, the paid version, you'll like store your classes and the quizzes that they take. But I used the free version for probably 3 years before the paid version, and really like the free version. So what it is it's news articles, and then Newsella rewrites them at multiple different reading levels. So that allows all of my kids to read about one thing, and then we can talk about it without having the reading level be not suited to my different groups, because I have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders together. So there's a really wide range, and even within one grade, who am I kidding, right? It's such a huge range of learning and reading abilities. So Newsella is a great source to match all of those different needs you have in your classroom. The other source that I really like for current events is one that I've been getting for as long as I have been teaching, and that's Junior Scholastic. This is just the one that I had in my bag. This is kind of, yeah, this is an old one. This one's from September, but they are great. They have usually like 2 or 3 bigger articles in them, and then some sort of fun ones. And in the back, one of the my favorite parts of this is there's like a pro and con, like a yes or no about one topic in here every issue. So this one is about a fee for plastic bags. There have been ones about should we or should we not have the Electoral College, which is really super relevant right now. So there's that article in these issues is one of my favorite ones to do with my kids. Right, and those are my fall trimester favorites. I hope you enjoyed. I was thinking that I might also do a video about the things that haven't been going so well in my classroom, some things that I need to rethink and revamp and just sort of redo, basically. There are a couple things. I think everybody needs to think about that a couple times a year, figure out what's just not working. What am I fighting through? How can I fix this? How can I make this easier for the kids? How can I make this easier for myself? And there's a couple things in my classroom that I really want to do that with. So I thought I might make another video that talks about that stuff, because I think sometimes we look at teachers like everything has to be perfect all the time, and that's just not real life. Things sometimes work and sometimes they don't work. And right now I'm sharing with you the things that have worked really well for me, but maybe I also need to share what are some things that haven't been working so well, and how am I planning on fixing those? How am I planning on making those better in my classroom? So give this video a thumbs up, comment down below if you have any questions, any thoughts about any of these things, any additional things that you think would work well for me in the upcoming trimester would be greatly appreciated. All right, thanks for watching.